Today, Donald Trump sent a tweet threatening the obliteration of the Turkish economy. Many people were confused by the tweet, especially since most Americans had no idea any sort of conflict was even going on between the U.S. and Turkey. So I'm going to briefly break down what this is all about. The reason for Trump's threatening tweet is that the U.S. military evacuated outposts along the Syrian-Turkish border today. Meanwhile, Turkey is massing military assets and has openly announced its intent to seize more Syrian territory from the Kurds. Turkey currently occupies territory in Syria, Iraq, and Cyprus. They are also involved in ongoing wars in Azerbaijan and Libya. They also have escalating beefs with everyone from the EU to Saudi Arabia. In Syria, Turkey occupies a chunk in the northeast of the country. They also sponsor militant groups in the Idlib region. These groups include both Sunni jihadists as well as Turkic ethno-nationalist groups like the Grey Wolves. Most of Syria east of the Euphrates River is controlled by the U.S.-sponsored YPG. The YPG is the military wing of the PYD, a totalitarian Kurdish Marxist party. They are closely affiliated with the Turkish PKK, which is considered an illegal terrorist group in Turkey. The PYD and the YPG have shut down rival political parties, and many anti-Marxist Syrian Kurds are in exile in Iraq. Turkey is currently fighting PKK-linked Kurdish groups in both Syria and Iraq. Now, not all Kurds are friends. In the 90s, the Kurds fought a civil war in Iraq between the left-wing PUK and the KDP. The Turkish PKK fought on the side of the PUK. The United States also sponsored the PUK. Both Turkey and Saddam Hussein provided military support to the KDP. Today, the KDP cooperates with the Turkish army in northern Iraq. They are also harboring anti-Marxist Syrian Kurds known as the Rojava Peshmerga and hope to one day redeploy them into Syria to take power back from the PYD-YPG. The U.S. routinely sends giant convoys of weapons and armored vehicles across the Iraqi-Syrian border to the YPG, even though the Pentagon officially claims that the U.S. does not sponsor the YPG. This is complete disingenuous gaslighting. The Pentagon says we only sponsor the Syrian Democratic Forces, or SDF. This is little more than a front name for the YPG. Even the SDF website has featured pictures of fighters with PKK patches and flags. Turkey has been denouncing the U.S. all along for, quote, sponsoring terrorism, even though Turkey arguably sponsors even much worse militant groups. In Europe, some of the radical left-wing parties romanticize the YPG, and there have even been close to 24 white European Antifa who have died in Syria fighting with the YPG. Many of these deaths occurred at the hands of the Turkish army and Turkish proxies in Afrin. For the past 2 months, America has conducted joint U.S.-Turkish patrols along a key border region. The Turkish troops would identify YPG fortifications. The U.S. would then order the YPG to dismantle them. Now, the U.S. forces are leaving this area, and with fortifications already dismantled, it is wide open for Turkish conquest. Kurds are evacuating certain areas, and spokesmen for the Kurds are accusing the USA of abandoning them to the Turks. Even now, Turkish-sponsored militant groups are bragging on social media that they are preparing to cross the Euphrates River. Now, here is the reason for the sudden evacuation of U.S. troops. Currently, the YPG has thousands of ISIS prisoners in custody. The USA is paying for their custody. Many are foreign jihadists from European nations. Trump has been demanding that each European nation take custody of their jihadists and place them in domestic prisons. Many have refused flat out or refused to take back certain people. The Turkish government has agreed to take custody of all ISIS prisoners in exchange for a U.S. pullout. Yesterday, Trump blamed France, Germany, and other European nations for forcing him to make this deal with Turkey. Then, in a classic Trump move, he posted a wild tweet threatening Turkey today. One major wild card is the former ISIS stronghold of Manbij. Turkey has been vowing its own liberation of the city ever since the YPG took the city from ISIS in 2016. Right now, Turkish military assets and thousands of proxy soldiers are massing along the Sejur River north of Manbij. The Syrian army is also massing assets south of the city. Previously, the YPG defied their U.S. sponsors and handed over a small town west of Manbij to a small contingent of Syrian and Russian personnel. This was to create an extra buffer between themselves and Turkish-sponsored militants. Now, we know what the Turkish endgame is because they have told us. In the early days of the Syrian conflict, Turkey thought they were easily going to topple Assad and install a pro-Turkish Sunni government along with the help of the USA, NATO, Israel, and a bunch of Sunni Arab states. Back then, Turkey opened its borders to unlimited Syrians for what they thought would only be a short stay. Now, 3 years later, 3 million displaced Syrians are creating major economic and social problems for Turkey. The Turkish government wants to send them all back, but they have a very creative way of doing it. They want to build vast public housing projects in the heavily Kurdish Rojava region and fill them with Syrian Arabs and Syrian Turkmen, thus reducing the power of the Kurds in the region. We have also seen Turkey building schools for the ethnic Turkmen in other occupied areas of Syria. These schools now teach the Turkish language in a pro-Turkey curriculum. So in some ways you could say that Turkey is trying to carve out a pro-Turkish vassal state across their southern border. Alright, thanks for watching this video. Click the like button, post a comment, tell me what you think about this, and please consider making a donation to my YouTube channel as YouTube has mass demonetized all my videos. And please support my sponsor, Patriotic Flags, the online flag store, patriotic-flags.com. Get yourself a Christopher Columbus flag, and click the subscribe button. New video every few days.